We all have moments when we are harsh on ourselves, but some people tend to be excessively critical of themselves and see it as necessary. Perfectionists are particularly susceptible to this. They may not realize they are engaging in this behavior, but recognizing it is the first step in changing it. In order to help you understand this better, let's discuss 5 types of unhealthy self-criticism today and how to deal with it, because you may be harder on yourself than you think. Self-criticism is a learned behavior. The way we speak to ourselves and the level of self-criticism we experience is influenced by our childhood experiences. Children are like sponges. Children believe everything the parent says and does. Parents can say to children, "You are dumb, you are smart, you are pretty, your brother is better than you." It doesn't have to be spoken out loud for it to have an impact. As we grow older, we continue to receive messages about ourselves from teachers, friends, and other people in our lives, which contribute to our self-esteem and how we see ourselves. All of these experiences, whether verbal or non-verbal, shape the foundation of our self-esteem and influence the level of self-criticism we experience. Many of us admire self-criticism, viewing it as a sign of being thorough, truthful, accountable, and having strong moral principles. Additionally, self-criticism is often seen as a necessary step for personal development and progress. However, research suggests that these ideas about self-criticism should be reevaluated. Studies conducted in different regions, including the USA, Canada, Israel, and Europe, have consistently found that self-criticism is linked to several negative outcomes, such as depression, anxiety, eating disorders, substance abuse, juvenile delinquency, physical health problems, and even suicidal thoughts. But why? Self-criticism can negatively impact one's social surroundings, causing interpersonal stress, conflicts, and rejection, and hindering the ability to enjoy positive experiences and seek support during difficult times. This negative environment can lead to emotional distress, which in turn might increase self-criticism further. It is true that if you engage in constant self-criticism, it becomes a habitual way of thinking. Imagine you have a new coworker. He introduced himself to you, but the next day you forgot his name. You greeted him by the wrong name and proceeded to your room. But 10 minutes later, you realized your mistake. After making a mistake, you immediately went to apologize to the person affected. Despite this, you continued to berate yourself for the error, especially if you had made a similar mistake in the past. Throughout the day, you kept telling yourself how rude and stupid you were. Although there is some truth to these thoughts, you took steps to correct the mistake and should therefore stop criticizing yourself. This example illustrates that feelings of guilt can drive one to take action and not repeat the same mistake in the future. It's important to recognize that once you've done your best to rectify an error, it's time to let it go and move on. When you are hard on yourself, it's easy to focus on all the things that you believe you are doing wrong and ignore all the things you're doing right. It's important to take a step back and look at your life from an outside perspective. Ask yourself, if someone else were to observe your life, would they see someone who has things together? Even if things aren't perfect, you may be better off than you give yourself credit for. You may have accomplishments or abilities that you take for granted, such as paying bills on time. It's important to acknowledge and appreciate the things you do well. Do you tend to blame yourself for problems that arise in your relationships, even when they are not entirely your fault? For example, if your husband forgot important papers, do you feel guilty for not reminding him? Do you often question whether you have the right to be upset or angry when someone wrongs you? Do you believe that if someone doesn't communicate with you clearly, it must be because you are unapproachable or difficult to talk to? Do you find yourself hesitating to speak up when you're upset or frustrated? It's important to find a balance between taking too much responsibility for problems and not taking enough. Instead of always blaming yourself, try taking only 50% of the responsibility and see how that feels. In each situation, think about what level of responsibility will help prevent the problem from happening again. We can't expect people to be good if we let them be bad. While putting in extra effort is commendable, constantly pushing yourself to the limit can be draining. It can lead to neglecting important tasks and potentially causing burnout. This behavior may stem from imposter syndrome, where one feels the need to be perfect in order to avoid being exposed as a fraud. To break this pattern, it's helpful to practice not going the extra mile in small ways, such as not rereading an email multiple times or postpone unfinished work until tomorrow. Each time you do this and nothing negative happens, it will become easier to do it in the future. Additionally, if something small goes wrong as a result of not going the extra mile, it will show that it is manageable. We all do stupid things. Maybe you got a call and your egg has burnt completely. When other people make mistakes, do you tend to see them as understandable, acknowledging that everyone can get distracted and make errors? However, when you yourself make a similar mistake, do you tend to be harder on yourself and criticize yourself more harshly? To overcome this tendency, try to think about how you would speak to someone you respect and care about, who was in a similar situation. Remind yourself to use the same kind of understanding and compassion when thinking about your own mistakes. By adopting this mindset, you will not only feel better, but also make better decisions, spend less time and emotional energy ruminating on mistakes, and ultimately be more productive. It can be challenging to incorporate 5 minutes of practice to break the habit of self-criticism, but it's important to start small. I suggest starting with one breath, inhaling and exhaling while repeating the words, "I am kind to myself." This simple act of taking one breath without criticizing yourself can help shift your mental habits and foster a more positive and compassionate relationship with yourself. Thank you for your attention. Bye.